My name is Karol Delgado. In the dance community, they know me as Karol Maracas. I've been dancing since I was like 2 years old. It hasn't been very easy for me just because I feel like, like there is a stigma of what a typical dancer looks like. I have like 3 strikes out basically. I'm short, I'm chubby gordita, how de cariño that people like to say. I don't have the nice beautiful legs that people have as far as ballet dancers and whatnot. So every single time I perform, it's 110% because I feel like I've had a lot more to prove. Dancers with Curves encompasses every single dancer. In every culture, there's a different stigma of what somebody should look like. It doesn't encompass just in girls that are thicker. And this is something I've come to realize later on through a lot of stories that people have shared with me in a very personal manner.
Dancers with Curves means a lot to me because it has allowed me to grow and get out of my comfort zone.
Dancers with Curves has affected me in the way that I can actually, because I'm a dance instructor as well, I am able to put some confidence in some of my girls that feel maybe that there's a size limit to dancing.
I actually joined a dance team as well because she gave me that confidence and that courage.
I could be a role model for other girls.
And this movement helps us embrace all sorts of shapes, all sorts of colors, and for women to embrace who they are and just break out and show the world who they are, especially when they're dancing.
I'm just glad to be in this position to be able to help people, to empower people to really be themselves and not let anybody get into their heads about what they should look like.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. And what you just saw was a nice recap of the vision and image of Dancers with Curves. And tonight, people, before we get started, this episode is sponsored by Tu Bachata Radio, where you can listen to this interview in high quality. And tonight, people, we're taking it from NY to LA. Here I have an amazing individual, a woman that I follow for many years from her time with Alma Latina, Essencia, but also her company, Dancers with Curves. We have all the way from the LA area, the one and only Miss Karol Maracas.
Hello.
What's up, Karol? How is everything?
It's good. It's been busy. It's hot here in LA. It's actually really, really nice today. I'm not sure how it is in New York, but it's good. Can't complain.
Absolutely. And Karol, as many people know, I always love having talks with my artists beforehand and really getting a feel of the land. But also for me, like I told you before privately, how much I've admired your work for so many years as a dancer from NY. The beauty of social media, realizing that we have organizations like Dancers with Curves that really has captivated and influenced so many dancers, I would say globally, not just nationally. I mean, realizing, as you've seen, we've had dancers, all shapes, all sizes, and realizing the beauty and the talent that comes on those stages every time, and people like yourself continue to inspire. And realizing too, I think tonight as well, having this talk, people can have a better understanding of who Karol is more than just what you do on the stage. And I'm definitely happy tonight we can really celebrate your success.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And again, I'm honored just to be here and being able to share my story and my experience. And yeah, it's great, obviously, that people see me as a dancer, but I am a person. I have other stuff going on too. So it's definitely nice to have this platform. So thank you for this.
Absolutely. I mean, also I think it really helps when you have a person in the dance community that understands the experience, understands the trials and tribulations, the hectic schedules, rather than just a person who's like, hey, I have a platform. Let me just interview you. I saw a video and just tell me everything. For me too, I really focus on studying my guests and realizing not just how many stages you've just ripped and electrified, but really the amount of influence that you've really maybe intentionally or unintentionally have just pushed among many dancers that I've even come across, realizing many people that I've talked to have recommended me maybe intentionally or unintentionally have just pushed among many dancers. And it's really amazing to see that a person like yourself, like you say in that video, you go 110% and realizing how important that is as a dancer, because many of us who deal with those issues of body image and body positivity, we always feel like we have that chip. And I feel talking to an artist like yourself, it means so much to me because as a dancer for 25 plus years, I dealt with that. I dealt with that stigma. I dealt with those issues, but I really persevered. And especially in New York, I felt like I did make a name for myself from on that stage every time. I wanted to give 110% because it was always a feeling that someone would just find something wrong. And
Always.
and I definitely feel, at least tonight as well, realizing where the journey started is really my focus as well, because people can see all of the content, but realizing where the vision came from is so much more important. And as we talk tonight as well, we'll be having live comments coming in. For example, Miss Ivana Velasquez giving some love out here.
My girl.
Yes.
One of my curvy babes, as I call her. She's on my dance team.
Yes. And here what she says is a true inspiration. And I definitely hold that true. So, definitely how I love starting my talks is, let's take it way back. Let's take it back to, the beginning before dance really came into your life and understanding who Karol truly is.
Well, to be honest, dance has been part of my life since I was 2. My
Yeah.
mom put me in dance classes since I was little. She already knew dance was gonna be some part of my life. But yeah, I mean, dancing has, is my motivation and my inspiration for everything. It's who I am, and in high school, I was in dance, and in college I was in dance. I think that's in college is when I started getting more of the backlash as far as, because of my weight. This has been my body type my entire life. I've never been at a point where it's like, oh, I was thinner before or I was way bigger. I've always kind of been in a general area where I guess they call me, oh, she's thick, that's what they call, she's thick, thank my mama for that. So, gotta give props for that, because, it's my body. And, obviously if I want to change my body, I've always had that option as anybody else has, like, but in college, I guess is when it first started. I tried out for the dance team. I went to Loyola Marymount University. It was a private Catholic school.
Oh my God. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was actually the school I applied for to go to college. It's in California, but it's like,
it's in LA.
Yes, I definitely remember that.
Yeah. So I got put on the wait list basically. And it was kind of like, why? I was so much better than so many people, not that I think I'm like, the ish or anything, but I'm like, yeah, like I'm pretty good, and, I think, growing up, I don't think I ever had, an issue as far as like my parents never treated me differently. My friends, when I was younger, for cheer and junior high, I did all of that. So I'm not until like, again, I started when I was a little older, I started seeing that stigma. I did actually at LMU. I got my minor in dance. So I majored in business. So that's something else. I don't know if people don't know, but I am an accountant during the day and a dancer at night. So I ended up getting my MBA. I'm an accountant. So that's what makes me my money right now. I wish I could say dance does it for me.
What is dancing or accounting? You're still dealing with numbers. So I think that's important.
Yes. But yeah, so then I knew I had to put dance in there somewhere. So for sure in college, it was a huge deal for me. I did jazz, I did ballet, I did hip hop. Hip hop was actually one of my biggest influences, and it still is.
Yeah.
When I do my bachata, I fuse a lot of it with hip hop or any of my Dances with Curves routines. You kind of see a glimpse of it because I gotta, like, hip hop's my ish. So, but that's when I kind of, like, I tried out for backup dancer for backup dancer for Janet Jackson. I think that was my first, like, rude awakening of, like, any kind of auditions, where basically you stand in line like a herd of cattle and just, like, go, especially if you're not represented by an agency, which is something else actually I've never tried to do. And I think that's part of my insecurities, because boy, I have insecurities. A lot of people think just because I have, you know, this organization and I have this movement that, like, oh, you have so much confidence. And I'm like, I go through my days too. So you know, I think that's where it all starts. You know, it's like you go from somewhere from being like, well, I don't think I'm good enough for that, you know? And I think I was never good enough to be represented by an agency because of the way that I looked, you know, like, I'm like, I have no way, like, someone's going to look at me compared to somebody else that is supposed to look the right way, you know? And I think nowadays it's a little, you know, a little bit more inclusive, I would say. We're getting there. Because there's a lot of representation coming out for sure. But, you know, when I was growing up, and it's funny, one thing is, like, because I say, oh, back then, a lot of people don't know how old I am. I'll be 40 this year.
Wow,
So
beautiful.
a lot of people think, they're like, oh, I thought you were like 20 something or whatever. I'm like, well, that's great, you know? So I do go way back when, but yeah, I think that's when it kind of all started for me. And coming out of college, I wanted to dance. I didn't know what to do. I actually was my sorority. Actually, today's my founding day for my sorority sisters. Anybody who Sigma Lambda Gamma National Sorority. I was a founder at Loyola Marymount University. So I did a stroll step team for, like, over 5 years. That was a competition team, and that was part of my dance background and experience. And there I actually didn't experience any discrimination. That was something different for me. Coming into the bachata and salsa arena is a completely different story. So it definitely caught me a little bit more off guard. I think back in college it wasn't as bad, obviously, but because, I mean, all I did was compare myself to people, but I would get recognition. Well, now when I was in my classes, and my instructors, you know, were also told me, hey, like, you're pretty good, you know? But I think my shot came once more when I was in the bachata salsa scene. When I was so excited. Actually, my first team, I don't know if you know this, but my first team, bachata team, was Island Touch.
Wow. Wait, the LA.
Yes,
LA
Island
That's
Touch.
why you look so familiar before that. Okay. That makes perfect sense.
That was my first. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I made a bachata team, and we're on Island Touch in LA. And that's when I met Alemana and Ataka, because they, you know, it was the first franchise also. So, you know, I got to meet them through there. And then from there, I went to PDO, Paso de Oro Dance Company.
With Alejandro Rey.
With Alejandro Rey, and at the time, it was Jessica Trujillo, who was his partner at that time, and I trained under her. And then after that, I did Alma Latina. That's when in between, I kind of did the Alma Latina San Diego team, and then I would eventually I spoke to Gabby Eckes, who's, I mean, you guys know, she's a world champion. She's amazing at what she does. So I asked her, because they started posting about doing, we're looking for directors for a franchise. And that's when I was like, you know, F it, why not? I'm going to ask, you know, why not? And she was excited about it. And she's like, oh my God, I love having you on our team, and I think you'll be great, you know. And so that's how I started in the bachata scene, basically, as, you know, kind of like a name for myself, is being the the director of Alma Latina LA alongside my then partner, who was Willie Barton. But that's when things really hit the fan, as far as when people start looking at you in more of a professional light.
Yeah.
I've always, I mean, performance wise, I think a lot of people recognize me performance wise, because like I, mentioned in that intro video, it's a great intro video. I feel like for myself, I have a lot more to prove.
Yes.
So I am like, well, I'm different. I'm gonna be different. There's no way that I'm gonna change the way I look now, like at the present moment, And so I got to do with, this is my talent, and I know I have something to share, and this is what I'm doing. And I always tell my dancers the same thing. Like, it doesn't matter. We're not talking even about body or anything. Yeah. It's just anytime you get a chance to do what you love, as far as even dancing goes, you get up on stage, even at practice. You never know when your last day on this earth is, and you want to go like knowing that you did your 110%. So you want to make sure every time you perform, you give it your all, because you never know when it's your last time to be able to perform. Because there's a lot of people who, have a missing leg and arm and can't do the same thing as you, don't have their health, aren't able to do stuff. And, it's a blessing, and I always got to, let my students know, like, be thankful and blessed, and I am. So that's why on top of that, it gives me even more motivation to be like, I'm going to go all out, And I think that's what I was or have been well known for. And aside from that, and I do have my background and my training that helps me, I think is a catalyst in that. But yeah, so once I started doing professional videos of routines with my partner Zwayli, that's when I started getting the commentaries on videos, because the video started going viral.
Yep.
Like, oh, look, a short, chubby girl with a tall, skinny guy. And it's like, it wasn't as bad back then than it was when my video with Carlos Amezcua went viral, that's the one that kind of put me more on the map. But it's funny, because there's a lot of people who feel so comfortable behind the screen saying certain things and commenting on videos and being like, oh, well, like, she looks like a rhino with heels or an elephant with heels. Like, there's so many different comments that now I laugh at it, because honestly, it's like, well, it's because I feel like they're haters,
I mean, absolutely.
Like, it's because you can't do what I do, right? Because you're not in that same position.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. I know, I'm sorry to cut you off. Like,
no, it's fine.
Just realizing as well, I call them internet warriors, because they can have these comments, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been victim to that. But as a New Yorker, the city is big, but it is small. And I've actually caught some of those people at same socials, and we have conversations, and things get settled. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's realizing is that like what you just said, you can actually flip that and make it into a positive, because we realize also as dancers that insecurities do lie. But I think also the biggest thing is we are our harshest critics.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
Yes.
And I'm always judging, especially women. Like, they always judge themselves the most, I feel.
And being, as you said, also in your dance career, you've been dancing since you were 2 years old, and right now you're saying turning 40, and realizing within those 38 years, all of that experience that you have, realizing as well, I'm assuming you grew up in the LA area your whole life.
Yes.
And what most people don't understand, I think New York and LA are very closely related, especially when it comes to entertainment, and especially when it comes to the dance world. Very cutthroat, very, you have to be the best of the best of the best. But also too, I think that's where you really dig deep and really find your true self, because people who go to many auditions, there's always something the casting director wants. There's always something the director sees in someone. And like you said too, over the years, inclusivity has been more prominent, because years ago there was an aesthetic of how men and women should look. I was told that as I was young, but I also realized there were people that looked just like me that now were getting those positions to put other people that look like them in place. And I think that was a game changer over the years. My question to you is now, while you were in college and doing dance primarily also your whole life, that experience, and I'm really intrigued to know that experience of the stepping and the strolling and being a sorority in a sorority, what was that really that overall experience like for you?
Oh my gosh, I it was one of the best times of my life, honestly.
Mhm.
Like it's something different, you know. It's definitely different from bachata and salsa because it's hip hop, and you know, I was the coach for the competition team, so I'm more in competition mode at that point than, you know, doing like a performance, you know.
Mhm.
And choreographing a step stroll routine is different than a bachata salsa routine. It's strolling. I don't know if you guys know, but strolling, you literally have to do choreography in a
Yeah.
line. It's kind of like line dancing, but it sounds funny to say line dancing because it's not like country line dancing.
Yeah.
It's literally, you have to keep going in a circle. It's like, it's as if you go to a fraternity, sorority party, and you see, literally, it's kind of like the movies, like, I don't know, like Drumline and stuff, where you see
Yeah.
them, like, all of a sudden, like, you know, the frat or the sorority girls start doing a chant and, you know, in the middle of a party and start dancing around the room,
Like
basically.
Stomp the Yard.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, and it's funny because a lot of people aren't aware, but
Mhm.
yeah, like it was definitely, I did it after I graduated college, honestly. So
Mm.
this was me like older. I was coaching the girls who were in college, but I
Yeah.
was competing too. So, and it's different because it's also like there was an LA, New York, like East Coast, West Coast battle kind
Oh.
of thing where, yeah, like the New York girls are fierce. Like New York girls just in
Mhm.
general are fierce, but the dancers are like, dang, like our biggest competition were the East Coast like sororities, and we were like definitely intimidated. So, but that kind of drove me to be
Yeah.
like, all right, let's get our shit together, you know, like we're gonna be good, you know. And
Mhm.
our last competition that we did, which was in Miami,
Mhm.
actually, ironically, the hotel where we competed was actually former the hotel that they were using for the World Dance Cup, the World
Oh.
Latin Dance Cup, the same exact hotel. It was in I forgot what it was called, but it was in Miami. So it
Mhm.
was very ironic. Came full circle kind of. But yeah, the last competition we beat out the East Coast girls, and it was like, whoa, it was like a huge deal, you know, to us.
Mhm.
But in that realm, that kind of dancing, like there was never an issue as far as, you know, body image went. It was
Yeah.
literally, you know, about the sorority fraternities. That was it. Like no one cared unless you brought it, and that was it.
Mm. Man.
Because, you know, honestly, people don't do it on a professional level. It's not like you have professional competitions for this, you know, because this is all at collegiate levels, you know, and it's a whole different animal. So people don't care about that back then. And I think that's why I was in such a great moment of my life, because it just none of that mattered. None of that mattered.
Mm.
And then that's why I told you, once I got into the bachata scene, it was a whole different story.
Oh yeah, it's a whole different beast. I would say is that from my experience of being a salsa dancer and transitioning into the bachata world, I mean they kind of go hand in hand in a sense, but the atmosphere I think is really different. And like you said, your experience with dance from when you were young and then going kind of like you said into hip hop, I totally see now the correlation of how you choreograph and how you put things together, but also the effort and how you put it. Because for me, what really intrigued me, I did tell you I saw you in that viral video, but when now you brought back the touch and you brought back Alma and you brought back Essencia, I was like, now it made perfect sense, and PDO as well. was like, wait, I've seen you before, but now I just had to put pieces together. But also, it's amazing because you have different types of dancers. You have your social dancers, you have your performers, but then you have your performers that will go to one company, kind of stay there. But there's also others that want that experience of having different teachers, different disciplines, and you having the opportunity to be trained with Gabby, trained with Roxy, training with Alejandro, and etc. Even with your hip hop experience is so valuable because I think that's really a lost art form for the last 10 years, whether it's in New York or abroad. I've seen it. Now, as a videographer, I see it even more.
Yeah.
And it's the harsh reality. And you living in LA your whole life, people from New York like us, we always want to know, is that quote unquote harsh reality of like the LA dance scene, is it real? Like what does it mean to kind of be like an LA dancer? Is it really that rugged, like really cutthroat lifestyle, or is that kind of a little bit fabricated?
So I actually used to train also. I used to go to classes at a studio called Debbie Reynolds Dance Studio.
Yes.
And it's comparable, I guess, to the Millennium Dance Complex kind of classes. And again, now that's a whole other dance environment. So that's more of the commercial environment than the salsa again dance scene. And I think that's where I for myself was like, I'm not going to be able to make it in this industry. Like I loved, obviously the classes there are legit. Like everything is like quick. Like you have to pick up quick, or like you're not going to be noticed, like at all. And that if they're even more cutthroat, I believe, in more of the commercial realm. It was definitely fun. I had my monthly pass for Debbie Reynolds Dance Studio. And I went there all the time. And actually that's when I took a salsa class at one of I forgot who it was with, but that's what kind of sparked my interest in like, oh, maybe I should go into the Latin scene. And that's when I started searching for bachata and salsa and that kind of stuff. But it's definitely, I felt for me at that time, like I said, like I knew that I wanted to do something with my life with dance, but I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be here because it's definitely not for the faint at heart. It is definitely a special industry that like it's again, it's hard to make it through like for certain things. And I think that's why for me, I was very intimidated to even be represented by an agency, because agencies are more for those commercial dancers that are going to be put in like, backup dancers. Like my goal when I was younger was to be a backup dancer for a reggaeton artist. Because I'm like, oh, they're gonna like thick girls for those kind of shows, like
down on
I'm like, well, I'm not gonna be no Justin Bieber backup dancer or Britney Spears or something. So
oh my God. I mean, to be honest, I totally understand what you're saying of you understood the positions you were in. Like when you're saying about the understanding of being a backup dancer for a certain genre.
Yeah.
You understood because you have the ideal understanding is the positions that people can be put in because people or directors are looking for a certain something. And for me too, as well, with New York and LA, realizing the amount of talent there is, but I think the biggest hurdle that many artists and creatives face is the mental block, the mental aspect, because if you can do all the physical, great. If you have the physical features that the directors want, great. But mentally, you have to put yourself in that position to win because you realize you have, like you said, you being in those times of being in the line with hundreds of other people just waiting for that opportunity. It's not easy, but realizing like yourself that you've been through those experiences, so you know what it's like. And you kind of answered my next question, which I was going to ask about how you got into dance and realizing, like you said, from the Debbie Reynolds, you took a salsa class that piqued your interest. So do you kind of, and how should I say? So do you remember your first social that you went to?
Oh, social. I don't. Like, I remember my first Congress.
Okay. What was
I
that?
remember my first Congress was the LA Bachata Festival.
Oh, that's a
So, I mean, it was so shout out to Jorge and Leslie,
Mhm.
who are the organizers of LA Bachata. And actually, they're one of the first ones to believe in my, in what I do and me
Yeah.
as a person and hire me as an artist. So I'm very thankful to them, especially in the LA area, because it's my hometown, and
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for them that they still have given me the space whenever, when we've had LA Bachata Festival,
Yeah.
hopefully next year, that they did give me my the opportunity
Mhm.
to represent me and my company, and I will forever be thankful for that. But yeah, I remember going to the LA Bachata Festival. I don't even know how. Probably if on Facebook or something that I
Mhm.
knew about it. I wasn't on a team or anything at that time, I think. But like I remember going to like the vendor tables and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy all this stuff. And they were like bachata caliente stuff. I'm like, I had stuff from like so many different teams and like stuff that I was just like, I was just so excited to be there,
Yeah.
like and just be a part of something. Like I'm like, I feel like I belong here. I feel like this is my culture, like
Mhm.
I don't know, something about it, like that atmosphere is like I felt like wow, like I think I can be something here. And this is like, I felt at home. I felt like
Yeah.
my dance home. I had discovered my dance home. And, I'm Costa Rican.
Yeah.
I was born in Costa Rica and, but I was raised in LA. So, salsa's always been a part of my life. Bachata I discovered later, honestly,
Yeah.
because it's not really huge. It wasn't at that time, wasn't something big in Costa Rica. So, my dad actually, I grew up with like, uh, what is it? Not, I can't even think of boleros. I
Oh, okay.
love, I
Gotcha.
love boleros, like boleros and salsa. That's what I knew when I was growing up. So my dad was the one who actually taught me how to dance salsa. And for me, like in that kind of atmosphere, I was like, whoa, like this is so cool. Like I want to be a part of this. And I think that's when I started also researching about teams because like I went by myself too. I don't even remember going with anybody. And at that time I met Jennifer, who was part of like from J Squared.
Oh yes, Jen. I know you're talking about. I know.
Jen,
Yeah.
and she was part of Pura Vida.
Yeah. With Mikey
With
and the
Mike,
rest of
yes.
the people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I met her because I saw that their team said Pura Vida. I'm like, hey, are you guys Costa Rican?
Yeah. No.
Well, she's half. Jen is half
Okay.
Costa Rican. So
Wow.
yeah, so I sparked a conversation with her, and that's how I met her. I met her years ago, and because I'm the type of person, I'm just like my mom. I'm a social a
Yeah.
butterfly. I'll just talk to anybody, which is, I guess part of me as a dancer. That's how, like, just how it's been. I communicate that way, but
Mhm.
like I started talking to her, and she was talking about the teams, and they're from New York, right? New York or New
Yeah.
Jersey?
No, they're from New York.
Okay.
Yeah, this was, and to be honest, I had an interview with Mikey about Pura Vida and realizing Pura Vida was one of the first bachata, mainly bachata teams in New York. I mean, that kind of really helped start things off and pushed it.
At that time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely at the time.
yeah.
You know.
And that's and I think that's how I kind of like started searching for bachata
Yeah.
groups, and I think that's when I found Island Touch and whatnot. But yeah, maybe that was my first social at the
Yeah.
Congress.
I
I
mean, that's amazing for your first like.
Yeah.
That's a heavy hitter. I mean, to like.
Yeah, because I honestly don't remember going to actual like local
Yeah.
socials until like I started being part of a team. And then that's where they're like, oh, we're performing at these local, restaurants or clubs or whatever. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I never knew this. Like, I don't know. It's like Steven Steakhouse.
Yes.
Like,
I've
there's this
heard
place
of
called
it.
Steven Steakhouse. And literally, my parents live in Norwalk, which is literally like less than 10 minutes away from Stevens. And I always pass by there. And it always says, steak and dance. And I'm like, dance. I'm like, what kind of dancing are they going to have there?
Yeah.
Like, I literally never thought of anything of it until like I started being part of these teams, and they're like, okay, we're going to the social at Steven's Steakhouse and we're performing. I was like what?
Yeah,
At
that's
at a steakhouse? Like for real? And then, you know, you find kind of like, it felt like an underground club. I was like, oh,
yeah.
okay. Like, you know, there's actual bunch of people here dancing salsa and bachata. So like, it was very interesting for me to get into that. Now it's normal, obviously. It's like,
Yeah.
but back then it was definitely something wild for me. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it definitely answered my question and more, because now it helps me understand is that, I mean, even though, like you said, as a dancer, you've gone through your mental battles, realizing that in that circumstance, you really persevered, because a lot of people would be very intimidated for their first ever event going to the LA Bachata Festival. It can be intimidating, especially if you're not familiar with the steps and you're just kind of that wallflower stuck there. And when that person asks you to dance, you don't know what to do. And, you know, realizing, like you said, you being a social butterfly, in reality, it was networking. It was networking for yourself before you really started to make a name for yourself. You then, like you said, started with Island Touch. And of course, over the years, you've gained more experience. So now my question for you is, with the experience you've had with Island Touch and various other companies, when did you find it within yourself to say, I think now I can start doing couples, like my own personal work with someone else?
You mean like my own dance company, or you mean just in general, like partner work?
Yeah, like partner work. Was the dances, or with your own company, was that created before like the collaborations with Carlos and the other gentleman?
Alma, after my two partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
Zueli and with Carlos. So that came after.
Mm,
So I was already doing partner work and whatnot before then. I think Island Touch was a partner work team at that time too. We didn't do just shines. It was an actual partner team. And then Alma was too, and so PDO and
mhm.
all the other teams were all partner based. But once I forgot. Oh, actually, when I met Zweli, I don't know
Yeah,
if you know William Carpenter.
I've heard of,
Um,
yes, I've heard of him.
he's Yes, yes. William Carpenter was the one who introduced Zweli to me. He's like, oh,
Mm,
there's this one girl who I like. I love her energy,
yes.
and you guys would look. I think you guys would be great together because you know Zweli's also a great performer. He has great energy as well,
Mhm.
and William was the one who introduced us, and we're like, hey, and that was during the time where I had seen about the Alma Latina
Mm,
franchise, and I was like, hey, you want to do this together?
mhm.
I was is going in and out. Let me try this
Yeah,
really
no,
quick.
no worries.
Did that work?
I think it did.
Okay, so sorry, guys.
No, 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 it's not a problem. And
I
it's funny
start
that
seeing
we're
little
talking
circles.
about,
Everyone's, oh no, don't leave.
it's all good. No, the funny thing is, as we're talking, guess who is here? The one and only Carlos.
Oh, I lost.
But
All
you were
right.
saying also, you were talking about the experience, of course, with Alma and starting with that franchise as well.
Wait, it's breaking up. I'm sorry. What did it? What did you say?
No, no, it's fine. No, basically about I know you had done Island Touch, and then I remember you were talking about then you then working with Alma Latina, and then that experience as well.
Yeah, and I was talking about like my partner.
Mhm.
That you know we actually the routines that we did choreographed by Jonathan Ibarra from Alma Latina, because I mean we were already working with Alma Latina, so we're like, okay. And I completely love. Obviously, I was part of Alma Latina because I love their style, and I still love their style. Their style is unique and very amazing, and they're super talented. So that's where my partnership started. But Dancers with Curves came out of something surprising. So I don't know if you want to go into that.
Absolutely,
if you had
absolutely.
any other questions.
No.
But yeah, I there's G.
Sorry, everyone. I think the internet probably just tuned out. We're gonna get her right back.
Who's going to be the new face of G Franco, and what you have to do is upload a video, and at that time I had a routine out with Whaley, or I think it was our second team. So I was like, I mean, let me try, I guess, you know, like, so I uploaded the video, and, you know, see everybody else who was posting their videos and stuff, and I was like, dang, like everyone's so good, you know, like how am I gonna like win something like this again? Like me and my insecurities, thinking I'm like, well, I don't look like anybody else, you know, like it's, you know, I'm not like, I felt like I wasn't at that level, you know, where seeing so many other professional dancers in the scene that have been in the scene for a long time, you know, and you know, when you see yourself as a dancer, sometimes you don't see what other people see, you know. So it's hard for you to reflect and accept certain things, you know, where it's like, you know, I've gotten commentaries and like, Carol, you're so great, you know, like you just, your presence is so different, and I'm like, oh, thank you, you know, like, but to me it's like, I'm like, I'm nowhere where I want to be, you know. You always, like you said, you're your worst critic, so you never think you're in the right place, you know, for yourself. And you know, and again, me thinking, I'm like, well, God, like, you know, I can't win something like this. I don't look like, you know, like anybody else. And then I had my Joe Quillones was part of. She's actually one of my mentors. I was at like not forget, I was actually on Diva. I don't know if you were aware of that team.
Yes, I've heard.
Chata, Diva Chata was made by Kathy Reyes and Joe Quillones, and they were also my instructors. I was doing that at the same time as I was doing PDO. That was an all ladies team. So I mean, definitely, like, Joe helped me through a lot. She's an amazing instructor. I think like she's completely underrated a lot of times. Like she should be hired for way more stuff than I think. But yeah, so what was my point that I went on?
No, you were talking about the Dancers with Curves and that motivation for that.
She was helping me with my marketing campaign for G Franco.
Yeah.
So and we were like, you know, because it was up to the top, I think top 10, and I got chosen, and I was like, well, like, what's gonna be my marketing strategy? What am I gonna do so people can vote for me? And hi, Shanae. I saw Shanae in there too. Some of my other girls. I say I love you guys. And basically that's why I was like, well, I am different. That's what makes me stand out. Like, you know, I don't want to look like anybody else. I never have looked like anybody else, and I've always been okay with that, you know. I just, you know, I needed to push that more. I needed to be more confident in what I was doing. And obviously I've already had come this far, you know. I'm a director of a franchise of a world dance company, world champion dance company. That says a lot, you know, like, you know, where's your head at, you know? And again, it's just that confidence in yourself where it's like, no, you have to remind yourself you've been through these experiences, you've been through a lot, and you have to highlight that. So highlight who you are. So I'm like Dancers with Curves. I'm a Dancers with Curves, you know? So like it started off as a hashtag, and once I started marketing, I was like, hashtag curve, like this is what it is. This is who I am. If you want me as the face of G Franco, like vote for me, you know,
Yeah.
basically, you know, like, so you don't see the same thing all the time. But so
I love it. I love it. I love it.
and I think that it literally, it like blew to proportions that I'm so thankful, and I didn't never expect it, honestly, because you know, you never think that there's people that are in, you know, that are in the same position as you are, you know, and maybe even more me, like where I have a little bit of a leeway to like be representative of people who don't have a voice, you know. And I think that's what I realized, is that, you know, people started seeing that. They're like, oh yeah, like, you know, you represent what other people don't think that they can do, you know. Even the work that I already had done at that point in my life, it's like, you know, I never imagined, you know, this is, you know, other people say, I never imagined somebody, you know, that looks like you would be in that position. And, you know, that's awesome. Like, you know, I want to vote for you. I want to, you know, I want you to be representative of that. And I think that's what, you know, it went to a level where I never would have thought. And that's what really sparked, like, it wasn't even a dance company at that time. I eventually, I think after like 2 years, I ended up going on my own and doing my own Dancers with Curves thing, after Alma Latina. And, you know, because there was a lot of people who, you know, messaged me and said, oh my God, you know, I'm so glad that there's something like this out there, you know, like, I'm glad that you can represent something that, you know, a lot of people didn't think that could be possible, you know, because it is hard to be recognized, like in any industry, I would say, you know, to look different and it, you know. And because even for myself, like, you know, I have my days that I'm always like, ay, mi pancita, you know, this and that, you know, like, oh, I can't fit in these pants or something, you know. But like at the end of the day, I'm just like, this is me, you know, like, and that's part of like what I've created, you know, hopefully, like with what I've had, is like enjoying that journey, you know. Like, we have to be so thankful to ourselves, you know, like, I mean, it can be way worse than what we are, you know. Like, I'm happy that I have my health. I'm happy that I have, again, like what I said, like my body to be able to do what I love, you know. And again, I might not be at my healthiest. I might not be at my, you know, at my thinnest or whatever. And I never have, and I don't think I ever will, honestly. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I gained my COVID weight, but you know, I'm embracing it. And I think that's part of that journey, is embracing like who you are at the present moment. And then, you know, focusing on like, where do you want to go? You know, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to just get fit? Do you want to do this? You know, I think a lot of people focus on like what you want to be, but not who you are at the present moment. And so a lot of people are very hard on themselves. And that's where the mental health and, you know, comes in, is treating yourself badly for, you know, a lot of decisions that you might have made. I mean, we're all human. I mean, your relationship with food is like, you know, it can make or break it. You know, I love my food too, you know, and
I do too.
I love my food, you know, and I accept that, you know, that's part of me, you know. And if I want to do something about it, then I can, because I know that I can, you know. So, but I think, again, we're too hard on ourselves sometimes. And I mean, luckily I have dance, and I'll tell you guys this, I don't go to the gym. You know, gym is boring to me. You know, if I'm trying, even for myself, to get into healthier habits for myself. That doesn't necessarily mean I have to lose 50 pounds or whatever, but be in a place where, you know, I'm content with myself for whatever that is, you know, whether it's 5 pounds or 10 pounds or whatever, you know, everybody has, you know, their threshold. But you know, I'm not gonna be hard on myself if I'm not there today or tomorrow.
Mhm.
for the next day, it's learning to be patient, and it's great. I've had such a wonderful experience getting to know a lot of people's stories during, this Dancers with Curves journey. It's been amazing. We forget that different cultures have different views of
Mhm.
what is healthy, what is not, what's thick, what's not. I think somebody that I remember a girl from Thailand messaged me, and she literally, like, to our standards here in LA, like, she looks, I mean, she was smaller than I am, and I'm like, oh, you look fine. She's like, yeah, in Thailand I'm fat. So, and I'm like, what? But we have to, like, be conscious about certain things, like, and then, and that's why I always say, like, Dancers with Curves isn't just about curvy women, and it's not women, it's men too.
Yeah.
Like, men, female, both female and male, because males go through the same thing. And I feel like males are discriminated upon just because
Mhm.
I think obviously the women are more of the eye candy in routines when it
Mhm.
comes to performance wise, and because the men aren't the ones flipping and doing all this and not in the skimpy outfits
Yes.
and whatnot. And I think that's why, it's not as important, or, like, it doesn't matter as much when
Mhm.
men have extra weight compared to women. I mean, obviously, like, I mean, that shouldn't be the case, because men also go through their mental issues as well. And that's why, like, when people think Dancers with Curves, it's like, oh, that's the girl thing. I'm like, no, it's not a girl thing. Like,
No.
guys go through the same thing as women do. Is just, it's not put in the spotlight as much, is because of the same thing, is because women tend to be, the sex symbols. The girls tend to be like, the ones, again, like I said, that have to wear, a leotard. And that's part of, like, some of the comments in my videos that I've gotten. It's like, why is she wearing that? And I'm like, have you seen what other girls wear in competitions and shows and stuff? They literally wear, like, a bikini bedazzled with rhinestones. Like, that's
Basically.
all they wear, but because I'm wearing it, because I have more meat than they do, obviously
Mhm.
it's going to have a different look and a different feel. And it's going to be more vulgar, because I have more coming out than most other people do, but it's the same thing. It's that stigma, where it's like, well, why can't I wear that too? I feel comfortable in my own skin to do so. So why not, And again, it's just, what we've come to view as what's good or not, or what's, acceptable or not. And what I was going at is that also with Dancers with Curves, it's not just thicker women, it's women, who, there's a lot of women who can't even gain weight and wish they gained weight, that have like eating disorders. And, like, I think everybody has to be conscious about whatever, somebody might or might not be going through, like, maybe I have a disorder where I can't lose weight, because of a condition that I have, so I can't even help it, even if I wanted to. And so, like, people aren't mindful of that, and they're vicious. Like, people are vicious on, especially on social media is such a, like, good and a bad thing, unfortunately. I think we've, a lot of people know that nowadays, but and that's why I've kind of taken it as with a grain of salt, a lot of comments, and I've learned to be a little bit, I've adapted to, because obviously, it does hurt still sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. But you try to just brush it off, because I'm like, look at what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm at the end of the day, like, I'm inspiring people, like, it's, and that's what makes me happy with what I'm doing. There's always going to be somebody, a critic. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you. Like, it's just the world, how the world works.
No, I totally agree. And what I would say is that for me, overall, seeing your work over the years, you are really molding the minds of the new generation of dancers, and also changing the outlook on what the perception should be. Because over my many years, especially in New York, when it came to females and male dancers, there was a specific type of how you should look. I can honestly say, from my standpoint, I've gone through a similar journey just like yourself. But for me, I was a lot more upfront about not caring. And I realized that me not caring about what other people thought, I thought other people who thought like me or looked like me would act the same way, but I realized everybody internalizes things different.
Yeah.
And for me, putting that 110% in every show I got me a lot of recognition, got me the chance to go to different teams and train with them and perform. And there were times that I would tell people, especially wearing a couple routine, I hope you're ready because I'm gonna make sure I look a lot better than most of y'all up here. And I would tell people that. And I was completely honest because the thing was, for so many years, there was that stigma of, you don't look good in this outfit, you need to lose a couple pounds. How many times I've been told over the years that, hey, if you could lose about 10, 20 pounds, I think you look great in that costume. Great. I could care less about the costume. Let's see how this routine is going to look and then tell me something after.
Yeah.
And for me, I guess over the years, especially being introduced to you, especially through social media, you living in LA, but the power of social media, like you said, it is a blessing, but it's also a curse. The price of fame, the price of viral fame, and realizing too, as we talked as well, realizing that the same videos you were a part of was the same videos that I saw. And of course, I understood that pain because those same comments I was being told publicly about me in New York backstages, and I had to internalize it and put it out in a positive way for myself because I realized too the power of words, realizing there are so many dancers that I have met that do no longer dance anymore because the perception and the idea that other people have of themselves overran everything.
Yeah.
They realized, or they took every note that everyone put about them and they just stopped doing what they loved. Their passion was gone because they felt no one appreciated them.
Yeah.
But realizing too, over the years, the conversations that me and you are having are so needed, are so warranted, but realizing that our perseverance and our triumph over those adversities, but also the honesty and transparency that me and you have when we say, yeah, at times those things hurt because what we're trying to put across to people and understand is like, hey, we're dancers just like you. We
Yeah.
may be a different size, but hey, we're doing the same choreography and pushing out the same effort. The thing is that I realize over time is that people who don't understand you, they are fear of the unknown. If they don't know you, it's easy for them to write a comment because
Absolutely.
what they want is a reaction. And for me, I would say in the past 10 years, honestly, you have been one of my top 5 favorite artists.
Oh,
And I mean that thoroughly because it's not just the choreographies you're a part of or the teams you've been a part of, but also the messages you've been pushing forward because it's easy for someone to take a class, join a team, do a show, travel with them. But what are you doing besides that? Realizing a person like yourself who had a message, who had an opportunity with Gene Franco, that hashtag turned into a movement. People like Pretty Big Movement out here on the East Coast, a group of people like that. Artists that I've seen, I forgot his first name, Kavanaugh, a heavier set guy who dances ballet. I've seen on YouTube and other social platforms, realizing there are people that look just like us. That
Yep.
do beautiful work. And again, over the past 10 years, 10, 15 years, the inclusivity has increased. The
Yeah.
focus on appreciating the art form is more apparent rather than or underappreciating the person's physical form. Because I've seen people look just like me, just like you, even bigger, doing just as much work, if not even more. And realizing is that, it's people like me, people like you, and other people, other dancers with curves, other people who believe in that movement that are pushing a positive message forward. Because if we don't, think about how many dancers will stop dancing because of the way other people feel about them.
Absolutely. And I think again, it's something that like was instilled. I'm also an only child. So
Mhm.
like for me, my privilege, not privileges, but like it's been like my parents have always focused on me, so it's always be like, they've always told me like, be different, be independent, like, and that's gotten me through so much, because honestly, like, even applying for different opportunities to do stuff, like, two other key parts that you probably don't know either, and that's out there, it is like, I also auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance, and season 2 here in LA. They showed like, I made it to where they went on the stage and everything, and we did our solos in front of the judges, and it was so damn it, like, I was so upset because the way that they portrayed me on the show, and I wish I probably would have sent you that video so you could see what I'm talking about, but they showed my part of my routine, and like, I remember I did like I think it was like a salsa ton or something, where it was like DLG. I did DLG, where it was like salsa and like, but hip hop kind of thing. And like, there's a part where I'm just like shaking and I do this, and they put somebody else's comments on my video on, like, after they showed my clip of me. They put the Mary Murphy, who was one of the judges at the time. She was like, what is all that jiggling? And that's just like, it's not acceptable, like, basically talking about, like, there's just so much of you out there. And that wasn't even something that they even told me. That was somebody else's commentary. So like, my commentary, was obviously, I didn't make it onto the show, but like, it was not that commentary. They're basically like, oh, you need to work on your stuff and then come back or whatever, but, for entertainment purposes, which upsets me, which is, how is an entertainment purpose of body shaming somebody like entertainment, like there's certain types where it's just like things that like keep like trying to like tear you down, where it's like people are trying to dance, like, and I understand, like I used to watch So You Think You Can Dance all the time, and even shows where like, some people can't dance, but like, people make it entertaining to laugh at people about, because they can't dance, or they think that they can dance. And so I was very like, if off and on about that show, but I have mixed feelings about certain things, because I had to experience it myself, and but it definitely, I don't know, I can see how there's a lot of people who tried to break me down, and I didn't allow it, and especially because of the way I looked, and when I also joined, I forgot honestly what the team was, a salsa team. And I forgot about it because honestly, I literally put it behind me, and I'm just like, I don't even want to be a part of this. Like, basically, like, I auditioned for this team, and she's like, oh, you're so good, you're amazing. She's like, but I need you to lose weight because you're not going to look good in the costume. And I need you to look like all the other girls on the team. So like, once you lose weight, then, like, you can be on there on the team, but you won't be able to perform until you lose weight. And I'm like, bye.
Bye. Wait, is that the bye?
Basically.
Oh my God. The more times that I've heard that about me, and I've literally told directors, fuck you, because, and I don't care. And the thing is this is something that Carlos had brought up here was, and it hit me, was one video. And a person I truly, and I'm going to tell you this, and I never got to tell you this, that I lost all respect for was Jay Ramirez. That was a person I lost total respect for. I knew him as a musician, and he knew of artists that I knew, but I had to be completely honest. A person with that type of platform and that type of reach, certain people use their platforms for good, and I feel in that specific part, when he did a viral video that showed you, and it went kind of viral on the Dominican circuit that I used to follow and just see about my shop.
Cardi B message, she commented on it too.
Cardi B.
Yeah, she did.
And what did she say?
Before he put it down, because there were so many people in his DMs talking shit to him, basically saying like, people who were supporting me in the dancing, you know, saying like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, take it down.
And that's the thing, is that, you know what it is? People in those positions, it's until they get that backlash, they don't understand the repercussions. But realizing too, I would say is this, Karol, over the years, from your training, from your performing, from now the organization that you built, the big key word for me is your representation. You are a representation of what people like me and other people that look like us want to see. Because when we don't see that representation, there is no goal. There is no, hey, I want to be this type of person.
Yeah.
And realizing over the years, whether it's in the dance world, music world, acting, the inclusion and the representation of people that look like us, that are shaped like us, is happening more. But I believe in our dance world, specifically bachata, salsa, kizomba, whatever, zouk, that representation of people that have different body types is even becoming more and more prevalent. And for me, I honestly feel that you are a trailblazer, because you are putting your heart on the line, you're putting your craft on the line. And to see also even your classes, that I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I fanboy over them every time I'm watching them, because I'm like, for me, one thing I really cherish is to see the students' reaction to the classes when they're having fun, when they're loving what they're doing. And again, I appreciate seeing everything you've been able to do over the years, and you're still pushing forward. You're still pushing content. You're still relevant. You're still present, even through everything that we're going through.
Yeah, everything.
And you know, realizing too, this is kind of my last question before we get into the segment that I have called the randoms.
Yes.
Is, with everything going on, kind of present day 2021. Of course, you're still doing great work teaching your classes. What do you see for the future of our dance community kind of going forward? Or what are you looking forward to, or what would you like to see happen going forward?
Honestly, I feel like we need a lot more community,
Mhm.
and I think love and support for one another. I think part of the whole the bashing, it surprises me
Mhm.
that a lot of it comes from women to women, you know, like where like it's like, where is the women empowerment? Where is this whole, like, you know, why are we hating on each other, especially with women, you know? But
Mhm.
like even just ourselves as artists, like I feel like we try to compete with each other so much instead of trying to like unite. I think even
Mhm.
I think COVID was honestly a good thing
Mhm.
for a good and bad thing for the dance community, because at first everybody was like, oh my God, we can't go into the studio. What are we gonna do now? You know, like obviously
Mhm.
everybody was banks on like making their money or privates and all of that stuff. But it sparked, I think, the creative side of everybody
Mhm.
on how to go forward doing certain things. And literally doing like online boot camps,
Yeah.
um, I felt like united a lot of artists,
Mhm.
like people from like Desiree from
Yeah.
Daniel and Desiree reached out to me, which was
Mhm.
like, I fangirl over her too, you know, I'm sure like everybody else. And she messaged me to be a part of her boot camp
Mhm.
lineup of artists, of international artists. Like that for me was like amazing, you know, like even just having that kind of stuff like
Yeah.
happening, you know, and to be a part of that was, you know, like I was fangirling for that, you know. I was like, you know, I can't believe I've gotten, for me it's like another level of achievement, you know.
Mhm.
But I think it's forced us to kind of like, you know, come together a little bit. And that I wish we see we could see more frequently,
Yeah.
because we need each other. We need each other in this community to be able to thrive, you know. Like, why am I gonna hate on somebody else who's like, you know, everybody's so talented, you know, everybody has their own thing that they're good at, you know. Let's add to that. And that's part of what I'm doing currently
Mhm.
with my dance classes. I created like every Wednesday I have a pop-up where like every other Wednesday I teach, and then every other Wednesday between that I have guest instructors come to my where I teach.
Mhm.
So I can give them exposure and then give exposure to my students, because like I am a advocate of being a versatile dancer. Obviously I do my hip hop, my jazz, all of that's like my background. I love
Yeah.
different dance styles. Like I love like tapping into so many different, there's so much out there in terms of dance. And just being able to support other artists, especially in LA, at least for now, like I feel like we need a lot more of that, and I'm trying to do my part in like recognizing a lot of artists that I've worked with and their friends and stuff, that like to bring them in and expose my dancers. And a part of it is that like people are scared to lose their dancers to other artists,
Yeah.
and especially like in LA, there's so many dance teams, or there have been so many dance teams, and like I'm not the shit in everything that I do. Like, like I'm good at what I do, but I'm not the only teacher out there, like there's so
Yeah.
many people that I tell my dancers, go train with like as many people as you can. And if you end up liking them better, cool. That's your dance journey, like I'm not going to make you stay at my at my, my dance company. And there's certain dance companies who actually don't allow you to be a part of other dance teams when you're part of that dance team.
I know.
And I feel like, for me, I feel like that limits the dancers. And I get it, because you want them to, be exclusive, and you want them to focus on just that. I mean, if you're in a competition, cool, but if it's just a dance performance team, like how are you going to limit your students? Like I'm not the best instructor out there, I'm like, like I want them to experience other teachers and other teams if they can. I know this one Ricardo, I'm sure everybody in LA knows Ricardo. He's been on like every single dance team in the dance community, and he's like, I don't even know how he does it. Like he's on like 5 dance teams all at once. I'm like, do you have a life? Do you work? But like, that's great. Like I'm glad he's been able to expose himself to stuff. And just like the same thing with I've had dancers leave my dance company and go to other other dance teams.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of seeing their growth, like, and seeing what they can do for themselves, like they all have different dance journeys, and that's what it's about, like being able to do what you love, so I think for me, that's what I would like to see more, is like people being more open to that, and be less competitive, and just embrace everybody's talent, because if we don't have each other, we're not going to have this dance community anytime in the future. Like it's not going to go anywhere.
I definitely understand, and I agree. And I'm going to say this honestly. I am so thankful that our dancing has a person like you, because the fact that you can be so honest and transparent when we're in a world that kind of shies away from that, and you're supposed to be perfect. I love that you can actually give your honest opinion on things, because it is prevalent. No matter what state it is, if it's New York, LA, or abroad, many of us dancers have these same opinions and problems, and it's good to also really speak on that. It means a lot. And I definitely hope as well that the community aspect grows even more, especially from what we're going through still. Because with the pandemic, I think people have to understand too. And I'll end this before we go into the segment, is I want dancers to understand is that this is a privilege to dance.
Absolutely.
Going through this pandemic, realizing that it's a airborne virus that is viral, and what do we love to do when we dance? Connect. So the closer we are, this is a issue coming in the pandemic. My biggest thing to tell people is, if you keep, or organizers, keeping your dancers as safe as possible allows your dancers to feel safe. And that helps more dancers come about in the future. Because when people see, hey, this is a safe environment, they care about how I feel, they care about my safety, more people are going to be more accepting, and realizing I want to come back to a dance community that I can see the people of old, but also understand the people of the new. Because, when we come back, our scene is going to look different. The same thing you saw dancing week after week after weekend, going to Congress after Congress, they'd have a different life. And, realizing, like you said, with everything going on, I mean, not many teachers are around. Many teachers have changed professions, and to keep studios open, it's not easy, but it's people like you and many others that have been able to stick it out and still produce amazing content. And I can't wait to see some of the amazing work you have coming in the future for sure. And now it brings us to our closing segment called The Randoms, where I ask you about 10 random questions that, can be a little spicy, be a little fun, be a little crazy, but it'll allow me to get to know you a whole lot better. So all I need to know, Karol, is when you are ready.
I'm ready. I just want to give a shout out to like my current partner, Joel, because you're talking about like in the future and stuff. Like I'm very, very lucky to be working currently with somebody who's accepting 110% of who I am and like so proud to like be with me. Like I love like my partner, and we have like a lot of cool things that like we have coming up, that we're working with and stuff. Carlos, you are also amazing. There, Mesqua. He's like, but what about me? I'm like, no, Mesqua was amazing.
And then he says you left him, so it's okay.
No, I didn't leave you. But yeah, like we have things working that we're working on and whatnot, like building a team together too, and having him and I haven't even performed. It's so weird. Like we haven't, because of COVID, like we haven't like officially like debuted like to an actual public.
Yeah.
Like it's really our debut was in a video online.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like it was so weird, it's so different. So like, things are changing like little by little. I'm being completely patient because in LA, like socials are starting to pop up and stuff right now. And I'm just like, I'm chilling. I'm good. Yeah. I'm, little by little, because again, I also have my students to worry about. And, like, I want to make sure they feel safe too, because I am teaching in the studio, and because I don't want to be out and about if I don't need to. So yeah. And there's my mom in the background.
Much love.
So yeah, sorry, just wanted to put that out there.
No, absolutely. Big shout out to Joelle. I definitely did love that virtual video you guys did. I mean, hey, you guys were able to produce something even in the craziest times that we have. So I definitely appreciate it. Yes. And I think too, the first question I think we talked about, I know you're from Costa Rica and I know you live in LA. So I know your palate is definitely good. So let me know for the first question, if you could have one meal, what would it be?
Right now, I'm really into Korean barbecue.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I love
me some Korean barbecue. Just give me some of that and I'll be good.
Bulgogi beef. You got bibimbap. All that stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Next question is, if you're at a social right now in the future, had one song to dance to, what would that song be?
Ooh. Like, does it matter what genre? Like bachata, salsa? Oh, there's so many songs. I honestly, like in general, I love a good slow bachata. Like I love being very traditional when it comes to just like without the turns and all of that. Like just be, that feels good. So I mean, honestly, I don't know. Like, and I'll be completely honest too. Like, I'm terrible at knowing names of songs. Like, if a song comes on, I'll know the song itself, but like an artist or the name, like I probably won't even remember.
Oh my God. What Carlos says, leave the door open, which they actually came out with a bachata remix to. Dave Aguilar, I'm gonna get that song from him, is an amazing. I've heard that new Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. Oh, beautiful.
There's a bachata remix of it now?
And when I get it, I will send it to you.
Okay.
I got you.
I'm not surprised.
Nowadays, I'm definitely not surprised. Any song that comes out will probably be remixed, but by the right person. Next question is, what is your dream vacation destination?
Ooh, this one's easy. Greece.
Ooh, Santorini?
Just Greece.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Take me to Greece. Like, oh, that's my dream vacation there.
Oh, I definitely hope you could definitely go there in the future. You
I
definitely.
hope so. I was planning for this year, like
Mhm.
for my 40th, my big 40.
Yeah.
I mean, my best friend is Lexi. She
Lexi Shreve.
yes.
Yes, I definitely.
Yes.
I've heard of her, and I actually plan to have her hopefully in the future on the
Oh
podcast. I've
yes,
seen
yes,
her work before. Amazing. I love it.
yes. She's amazing too at what she does. But she's a flight attendant, so
Mhm.
luckily we still have her benefits. So I'm like, girl, like this year we're gonna do it. We're going to Greece.
I mean, you got to use that discount somehow.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's your 40th. Please, like, if you're listening to this or you do listen to it, please, for her 40th, you got to do it, babe. Come on,
Yes.
please. I got you. All right. Next question is, I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but what did Karol want to be at 10 years old?
I always wanted to be a dancer.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I think I wanted specifically to be a ballet dancer at that time, like
Mhm.
point, like ballet dancing, because
Yes.
my aunt was a professional ballet dancer at that time.
I see
And
where that influence.
she gave me her used ballet shoes, and I was like always and out. She would take me to her like her rehearsals, her ballet
Mhm.
rehearsals, and I was like, I want to do that. That or a professional Latin ballroom dancer.
Oh, I'll tell you this: if you were in the ballroom scene, I think you'd be electrifying. I
Oh my
mean,
God.
honestly,
I haven't even been to a live ballroom competition,
mhm.
and that's one of my dreams actually, to go to one of those. I
Oh,
actually just had a Latin ballroom instructor come to my studio and teach my girls um, Latin ballroom cha-cha. It was so I haven't posted the videos yet, but it was really
yeah.
awesome. It was got me out of my comfort zone, because trust me, like and it's funny because with dancers you think that they know how to do any type of dance, but
Hmm.
mm,
No,
special.
that is not the case. All right.
No.
Next question is, and this is a kind of one or the other question. Do you prefer flats or do you prefer heels?
I am such a boy.
Hmm.
I think I feel like I'm more of a tomboy than like, I mean, trust me, when I dress up, I dress up. So,
Yeah.
but I definitely, even if I'm short, and it's surprising because I'm sure most short peak girls will be like, oh, heels, so I can look taller. Again,
Mm,
I'm embracing how short I am. I don't
I,
care.
I'm
I'd
much.
rather be comfortable.
Okay. All right. Next question is: you have three choices. If you right now somebody said, "Karol, I need you to break out a freestyle," would it be a salsa, bachata, or hip hop?
Hip hop.
I feel like in my mind I already know, but I just need. And of course, Carlos here is saying, she's
She's
definitely a
out.
tomboy, and sneakers are life for her. All right, so that even better. Thank you, Carlos, because this is going to be my next question. Will be, what is your favorite sneaker?
Nikes.
Okay,
I
you got
wear
any
Nikes to the
specific
top
type?
with me.
Any like the Roshis? Any Air Max? Anything specific you like?
I've been more into Air Maxes, but my um one of my favorite ones that I don't use as much are my LeBron. I think they were
Mm.
the Miamis.
Oh yeah. I know which ones.
Because it took me a while to find them because I have like little kid size shoes.
Oh,
So
and
like
the kids section, as Carlos is trying
like
to say here.
section exactly. See,
You're lucky because your shoe's almost half off, and I wear a
yeah,
size 13. So
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I'm like a 3 or 3.5 youth. So I definitely get the best out of the cheaper shoes. But
Gotcha.
but yeah.
All right. Next question: what would be your superpower?
Um to heal, I
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah, a healer.
a healer. You know, I don't know. I'm a softie when it comes to like seeing people like in pain or hurt. Like I'm always I'm a fixer. I think it's a good thing and it's a bad thing because I tend to put myself before a lot of people. And I think
You
that's,
tend to put others before yourself.
yes, did I say that the
I think
opposite way?
you tend to put yourself
I
before.
did say that. It just clicked. It meant the other way.
Gotcha. I completely
I put
understand.
other people before me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I've heard that answer before, and I love when I hear that because I mean, I think this world overall needs healing. And no matter if it's a person you know or don't know, you can always help someone. So my next question is, and this is a spicy question because this is gonna give education to a lot of leads. What is Carol's biggest turnoff for a lead who wants to dance with her?
Um, I think just guys who try to go above and beyond. Like I feel like they try to be so extra, especially when they know that they're dancing with like an artist. Like, you know, especially like dipping. Don't dip somebody like if you don't know how to do it, like or don't know the tech because there's a technique to dipping. You don't know if somebody has like a back issue or a neck issue. I literally somebody did it to me and he let me go and I fell on the floor.
Oh, oh,
Because he was trying to be slick and literally like he let me go and I hit the floor.
I think that's why they call it connection. Because there's be a connection between the two. Not that's the thing. That's the one of the biggest things I hate as a videographer because I think, especially men, and I'm talking specifically male leads. My biggest issue is when they're dipping. You're not connecting with your follow because you're trying to make an impact. But if they're not in unison, things aren't going the same way and they're not following you. That's where the injuries
or
come.
getting picked up.
Oh, yes, that is another big one because I guess a lot of, especially males that I've seen do that, I look at the woman's face and when she looks like, what is happening? And I'm like, this isn't fun for her. There's no way you're in my video. So, and I tell, and just like you said, the picking up, the dipping for any leads that are thinking about dipping and picking up a follow, please think twice before you do it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even
especially just injury wise, you know, like
Yeah.
that's why I mean that's partly why a lot of artists don't like to go social dancing like as part of their contract because I know a lot of artists are required to go, okay, you have to go to social dancing.
Yeah.
Because like dancing's their living. So if you mess them up because you try to be super cool and do something like, you know, you messed up somebody's arm if you tried to do like a super fancy like, turn or something, you know, like we have to take care of our bodies. So you can't just be doing random stuff like that, you know, like but the biggest turn on is when it's just musicality. Like when they know the music, like something so simple that's why I mean, like they feel like they need to do these drastic big things when like the littlest things actually make the biggest difference. It's like that connection where like, you know, if they know the song and they do like, you know, the musicality with it, is that is like, whoa, that's what gets me.
All right. Well, second to last question is, what is a special talent that Karol has?
A special talent besides dancing, eating? No.
You can crunch some numbers for sure.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I when a lot of people think that like I'm actually a smarty pants, so I am definitely good with numbers.
I mean, to go to Loyola Marymount to be an accountant, I mean, you got to have a brain. Honestly, you got to have some wit. So,
well, I went to Pepperdine University for my master's.
Oh my God, you're just like, oh God. I honestly, every time I hear a university, I just think of like student debt, and it's just like,
oh my God, don't even get me started.
I mean,
I literally, when I was telling you, I literally just bought a house,
yeah,
and that was my biggest issue in like qualifying for a freaking house
yeah,
loan are my damn student loans.
yeah.
Like, y'all,
But
it's
I'm
serious.
glad you got that education, and definitely kudos to you. And now my last question
Yeah.
is: if you could dance with, if you were at a social or Congress, matter of fact, and you could only dance with one lead, who would that be?
Mm.
Mm.
Hmm. I've had a lot of good like
I've seen a lot of good, very good leads you've danced with.
I have a lot of fun, surprisingly, and it just comes off the top of my Harold
Mhm.
Brancano, from
I've heard of
Harold. Yeah, I mean, he's a world champion.
Wait, Harold from Harold and Reagan?
Yes,
Oh my God, yes, yes, I definitely know because he won at the summit. I think last year, the year before last.
I think so.
Yeah, with his partner
Yeah,
Harold and
yes.
Reagan. Wow, yes, he is amazing. That's
He's
awesome.
actually really fun to dance with. So like, because literally that's just like the first thing that popped into my head. But yeah,
And that's for a reason. So, I mean, I definitely respect it. And honestly, Carol, I really thank you for doing this segment. I love doing this at the end with all of my guests because it allows me to know a little bit more about you, knowing that you don't like dips and you don't like pickups from the wrong people, and that you love Korean barbecue. So, I hopefully in the future, because
we
I'll
can
be
see each other. We're going to for some
Oh
Korean
no,
bar.
we definitely are. When I will be going to LA in the
Yes,
future for sure to do some filming with some artists that I'm talking to. So I'm definitely going to make a trip to see you for sure. Korean barbecue on me, without a doubt.
absolutely down.
Awesome. Now it brings us to the conclusion of our discussion tonight. And honestly, from start to finish, I've loved each and every minute. I've taken every piece of information you've talked about as gems. And for me, help me apply that and help other people as well. Because I think with the conversations we have, it helps start the conversation, of course, that ultimately makes the changes that we want to see. So, for me, I'm thankful I could have you on tonight. But at least before we go, I would love to know if you had any last few words for myself and the audience, but also contact info on how people can reach you about classes and upcoming projects you might have.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like don't give up on what you want to do, especially, those who, that have followed me and just follow me in general. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, what else can I say? It's just go for what you want. Like, it doesn't matter what other people say. Like that's why I was like, for me, it's just like, I love to dance and I'm going to show the world how much I love to dance and
Mm,
period. That's it. Like, and
mm,
that's always been my goal. So whether people like it or not, whatever,
yeah.
like you can't please everybody. And there's definitely not, that's not the case, but I've been very thankful again and blessed that there've been so much support in what I do and what I bring to the table.
Mhm,
Um, because I don't offer the same thing as everybody else, and I'm glad that it's been super receptive.
mhm,
My work has, and what I've done up to this point, and even like that I created my boutique
mhm.
for Dancers with Curves, my athleisure active wear. So with that, like, dancerswithcurves.com, if you guys want to support and, buy your Dances with Curves gears and stuff. And I got to send you a shirt.
Yes, and I'll tell you this is even besides that, after you just told me the info, I was already going to buy a shirt, especially for my wife out there as well.
Yeah, no, I'm going to send you something. You
Oh
let
my
me
God, thank you. But at the same time, I gotta still support you no matter what, because what you're doing, I wish it could have been done years ago. But the way you do it just works so well. And honestly, the energy that you have, I think, is works so well because there's certain people that can do certain things at certain times and it's genuine. Rather than it be a gimmick, you came with love and you came with being you. And that's what I most appreciate.
Thank you. Always,
you got to be honest and you got to be pure. Like, you know, it's just, there's so many fake people out there. I just can't, like, it's like, I'm like, ah. So like, I'm appreciative and again, for your platform for this, because, you know, it is a different story when you hear it from, you know, from the person's mouth, when, you know, coming from where it came from. And I'm excited for the future, to see what, you know, what unravels basically, and what we end up doing. And hopefully we just become, you know, a lot closer. Bye, Carlos. Love you too.
You know, and honestly, Carol, I mean, honestly, like I said, again, from start to finish, I've enjoyed every moment, because again, just from seeing you from a social media standpoint, seeing the various shows and performances, you're just a ball of energy. And I love it, because those are the people I gravitate towards. Because again, in our scene, we got so many dancers, and it's hard for a lot of people to just be individuals. So for me, seeing what you've been doing and still doing and continue to create, I support it 1,000%. Me and the podcast. I definitely, after this interview, I'll be posting a link to danceswithcurves.com so people can check it out as well. And I would love to have you on, especially for the future. Actually, I would love to do a Dances with Curves panel and have
Yes.
people with yourself and Dances with Curves talking about new projects you guys have and initiatives. So honestly, thank you
Absolutely.
for everything tonight. Thank you for taking your time out. You're a homeowner. Congratulations.
Yay.
Amazing. Absolutely, because I know that LA market is crazy at times.
It's bad.
So
Very lucky to have found something in LA. I literally was about to go 2 hours from here in Fontana and be like, I'm gonna have to commute.
yeah,
But no, it was tough, but it got done. Thank God.
absolutely. And honestly, I want to thank you so much for your time and effort. I've had an amazing time from the comments I've been seeing throughout, and the ones I even haven't checked on yet. There's been a lot, and people have loved this episode. So I thank you, Carol, for everything.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yes, everyone, definitely stay tuned. Carol will definitely be back on the podcast with more of Dances with Curves. And honestly, thank you all for tuning in tonight. I've had an amazing time. Thank you all. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great night.